Ladies and gentlemen, as you might have noticed, the stock market has been looking a little bit like this as of late. But what if I told you that this was all part of President Trump's genius plan? Now, I know that might sound a little bit crazy, but folks, I promise that if you let me explain, all of this is going to make perfect sense. You see, yesterday morning, President Trump posted a very interesting video on his Truth Social timeline that really makes it seem like what's going on with the stock market is all part of a bigger plan. So folks, let's take a look at this video, then we're going to have a lot to talk about. Let it play.
Trump is crashing the stock market by 20% this month, but he's doing it on purpose. And this is why Warren Buffett just said Trump is making the best economic moves he's seen in over 50 years. Now here's the secret game he's playing, and it could make you rich. So why is he doing this? To push cash into treasuries, which forces the Fed to slash interest rates in May, and those lower rates give the Fed the ability to refinance trillions of debt very inexpensively. It also weakens the dollar and drops mortgage rates. Now, it's a wild chess move, but it's working. Now, you're probably wondering, what about his tariffs? Well, I'll tell you, it's a genius play. It actually forces companies to build here to dodge them. It also forces farmers to sell more of their products here in the US to bring grocery prices way down. We've already seen this with eggs. Now, remember, 94% of all stocks are owned only by 8% of Americans. So Trump, he's taking from the rich short term and handing it to the middle class through lower prices.
So folks, like I said earlier, that is the video that President Trump himself posted on his Truth Social account. And now, I know that was a lot of big-time information to digest, so what do you say we really try to break it all down? Pretty much, here's the general idea. President Trump is trying to intentionally crash the stock market, which will lead to investors moving their money into safer assets like U.S. Treasury bonds, which has historically led to the U.S. Federal Reserve lowering interest rates, which will ultimately allow President Trump to refinance our national debt at a lower cost. Now, folks, here's the curious thing about this entire concept. As we speak right now, the U.S. Federal Reserve is actually in the process of refinancing a huge portion of our country's national debt. So this entire situation very likely is true. Now, to really give you guys the full scope of why President Trump might be doing this, take a look at this chart. As things currently stand, the United States actually spends more on interest payments on our national debt than on the national debt itself. Any of you in the audience that pay a mortgage are probably familiar with this concept. It sucks. And so what President Trump has ingeniously realized is that if he can refinance our national debt at a lower rate, he can quite literally cut out hundreds of billions of dollars out of our yearly federal budget. Because folks, get this, right now, our national deficit is $1.9 trillion per year, trillion. That is how much deeper we are going into debt every single year. And so if President Trump is able to shave off, say, 25% of that by refinancing our debt, he's actually saving all of us American taxpayers over $400 billion per year. And then, on top